Oh, hello. I was just thinking to myself, is it possible to have too much joy? That dog yesterday was amazing, wasn't she, Alice? Oh. God bless her, eh? Actually, I didn't mind this singing on the way back from the toilet. And the piano on the way back from the toilet. Hey, Rudolph, that was nice. Well, I had breakfast about 7, second breakfast, and then Stephen, the ambulance was for 9:30, I think, not 10:30. Don't worry about it. I don't think I don't think I would have heard it at 10:30 either. Coincidentally, a GP called about 3 or 4. I mean, it's hard talking to me. I said, I want a DNR. He said, why? I said, I didn't realise I had to fight for it. I thought it was a right. I want it, I get it. He went, no, it's true. And then he said something grammatically incorrect, and I went, that sentence doesn't make any sense. And then he'd used a medical jargon, an abbreviated form. He said, what does DNR mean? I said, doctor, I was only a living support worker for over 10 years. If you don't know that DNR stands for do not resuscitate, I can't help you. At one point I said, hey look, I'm breathless. He said, don't get angry. I said, I'm not angry. I said, you can test me. I said, I'm just breathless and I said, I'm a 53-year-old eccentric man who's been alone since mum died and I'm not used to having to justify my decisions. I said, if you're asking me to tell you why 18 months ago I decided I wanted DNR, I'd be lying. I just know that I make decisions, I think about them hard, and once I've made decisions made. What was the other one? He said, okay, so you've got a DNR, but if in the future we think it's a good idea to go to hospital for oxygen, he said, and you're happy to go. And I said, that sentence makes no sense. And then he realised what he'd said, that if you're happy to go, well, what if I'm happy to go, there's no dispute, is there? We didn't have to, actually that was quite nice, that he realised that what he'd said was silly, and admitted it, in a nice way. And I did say that, look, my mum was a nurse, and I was a living support worker for over 10 years, I've got utmost respect for healthcare professionals. So rather sweet actually, he went, thank you very much. And he said it in such a nice way actually. And so what kind of endoscopy, said scope, endoscopy are you going for? He said, I don't know, I'm not a medical expert. I said, but if you don't know, he said, they haven't written and told me. I said, well, I've only ever had one kind, but if you don't know what kind of endoscopy I'm having, it's starting to sound like a scam. That made him giggle. I said, no hospitals, once we've got. I told him about Boxing Day, when my inner voice says, you're in denial. In denial that I'm dying or in denial that I'm living? I do find joy every day. Yes, I do want to go on. I look like I've been mauled by a wild animal. I mean, that I noticed, but look at this. Would I mind if Ellis Pavlov's dog experiment? Sorry. Hello, Robert Donald. Bring them on camera. What the earth does that mean? My God, I thought we lived in a world where people don't even like to talk using phones. It's just messages. And this has got a function to say, hey, you're live on Woo TV! I hope you're having a nice afternoon, Robert Donald. Well, actually, I tend to assume that people look at things by accident. A month ago I realised that bored sex workers find me fascinating because they're bored. And then probably people on night shift and whatever. But if you find me irritating, God help you. But if you think I'm accidentally hilarious, wonderful. No, honestly, laugh at me. What do I care? Laugh near me. Call me anything you like, but don't call me late for my dinner. Tea. Isn't this wonderful? No, I didn't make the endoscopy appointment, did I? Doesn't matter. I mean, I wanted to go. I'm reminded of the flowers because I was going. I realised last night that I should go to bed rather than wrap flowers up in a variety of languages, Greek and Gaelic and English, for the staff. It's amazing what you can do on the way back from the toilet, isn't it? Anyway. Hot Java lava. Not had any for a few weeks. Yeah. You don't need to see me, a decrepit me, moving.